Hi, I'm Tawny, and this is Coming to Our Senses. Since this is the first episode, I thought we could talk about what is the felt sense and why do we care? I am a therapist and somatic experiencing practitioner. I'll be sharing quotes and research from a depth psychology view as well as a nervous system and somatic view. There will also be me-search and psyche explorations and also poetry, because I believe that poetry and art and being in connection with whatever it is that we're creating or co-creating, it can be the lifeblood of life, of actual living life. So the felt sense was coined, the term, by Eugene Gendlin, the creator of focusing, and also is talked about a lot from Peter Levine, the creator of somatic experiencing. It's this idea that is not just created by these two guys. It is an idea of our bodily experience encompassing the whole of a situation. So it is our emotional experience, the emotional tone, if you will, the sensations in our body, our intuitions, and bodily awareness. So this could come up when you need to make a big decision and you're unclear of whether it's a yes, a no, or a maybe. So you can sense in to your body and notice, okay, there's a tightness in my chest about this. And oftentimes we will have a kind of narrative story attached to that, which has its own place and it can be incredibly helpful. And we'll talk about this on the podcast as well, myth and archetypes and how that can help us even understand our felt sense more. And sometimes when we kind of put that narrative or myth to the side, we can feel into the physical sensation in the body and come to a clear answer by working with it. So whether it's emotion, for instance, if you feel a sense of anger, you can kind of attach to the thoughts of the anger, making it about many different things. Or you can feel the anger all the way through and see what's next. So there's this idea that there are many ways to access the soma, the body, the somatic experience. And through somatic experiencing lens, we can access through sensation, we can access also through imagery, we can access through noticing what our behaviors are in our life, we can access through affect, which really just means emotion, and we can access the felt sense through understanding the meaning that we make from certain experiences. So from a somatic perspective, our physiological state is what creates our thoughts. So it's a little bit different than something like cognitive behavioral therapy that says, let's switch our thoughts and that will switch our felt sense. Also, there's definitely a place for that. But the felt sense recognition is more of a bottom-up recognition of, hey, if I'm in a state of fight, then it doesn't matter if I'm talking to the grandmother down the street or the guy who's ringing me up at the grocery store, everything's probably gonna piss me off. And there's also this idea that I have, and I'm certainly not alone in this idea, that we've become disconnected from each other, in large part because we're disconnected from ourselves. We move fast out of necessity, and we're separated from intimacy. So the idea of, I don't know if you've heard the kind of adage or cliche of into me you see, but that is a hard thing to grasp and hard to experience unless we can also see inside of ourselves too. So if I don't know where I am, what I need, how I feel, where I begin and you end, there can be this kind of amorphous quality to life, like living above it or below it or beside it, but anywhere basically besides being in it. And there's a meditation teacher, Howie Cohen, that I found on my birthday last year in a very cool series of synchronicities, who I actually sat on retreat with over said birthday, and it was a magical experience. One of the things that he said that really stuck with me, that I've heard a couple of times now, since I've sat with him a couple of times, is keep your head in your body. Keep your head in your body. And the first time I sat with him, I was like, whoa, I love that. It's like, come back here, you silly little head. Let me corral you. And, you think you have all the answers. You might be hyped up on coffee or adrenaline or intergenerational trauma or experiences in life, like all this meaning making, right? Which is great often, but also let me just put you here in the confines of my flesh. Let's have heart and mind meet, and let's try and find liberation here together. So that was really insightful. And then the second time I sat with what he said, I got a little angry. Maybe I want to leave my body. Maybe my body is not a safe place. And for many people, probably all people, there have been times where you need to leave the body, and that makes sense. How he wouldn't shame me or anyone about staying in our bodies. It makes sense for us to leave for a myriad of reasons. In survival, it makes a lot of sense why we do that. And it also makes sense for us to try and push out the edges a little bit of our comfort and expand into the reaches of what we feel could be possible. So maybe it's possible to feel and to be alive in these really bizarre times. Maybe keeping our minds in our bodies, maybe even wondering, hey, is there even a separation between these two things at all? Maybe learning to feel and be in our bodies more with ourselves and one another, maybe that can heal us. Maybe that can help us to heal each other, and maybe that can help heal a culture that has a real severed sense of belonging. Maybe we can be in connection with each other in a way that we no longer need to shame or blame or dominate coercively or hide our darkest parts from ourselves or even each other, because we put in effort to meet those parts. So coming to our senses to me means becoming enchanted or re-enchanted with life. I'm happy to be here to share with you about my own journey of being in my senses, being in my body, being in connection, wrestling with the complexity of aliveness, of what it means to me to live with heart, of living with each other and holding true to the idea that love is in action, beginning from within. The closer you get to me, maybe the more I treat you like how I treat me, so that feels like a very worthy endeavor, because I want that to feel both emotionally safe and also freeing for people to be in connection with me. So I'll leave today with this poem by John O'Donohue. Here is For One Who Is Exhausted, a Blessing. When the rhythm of the heart becomes hectic, time takes on the strain until it breaks. Then all the unattended stress fall in on the mind like an endless increasing weight. The light in the mind becomes dim. Things you could take in your stride before now become laborsome events of will. Weariness invades your spirit. Gravity begins falling inside you, dragging down every bone. The tide you never valued has gone out, and you are marooned on unsure ground. Something within you has closed down, and you cannot push yourself back to life. You have been forced to enter empty time. The desire that drove you has relinquished. There is nothing else to do now but rest and patiently learn to receive the self you have forsaken in the race of days. At first your thinking will darken and sadness take over like listless weather. The flow of unwept tears will frighten you. You have traveled too fast over false ground. Now your soul has come to take you back. Take refuge in your senses. Open up to all the small miracles you rushed through. Become inclined to watch the way of rain when it falls slow and free. Imitate the habit of twilight, taking time to open the well of color that fostered the brightness of day. Draw alongside the silence of stone until its calmness can claim you. Be excessively gentle with yourself. Stay clear of those vexed in spirit. Learn to linger around someone of ease who feels they have all the time in the world. Gradually, you will return to yourself, having learned a new respect for your heart and the joy that dwells far within slow time.